We have recorded a short case study to highlight one of the many projects at home and internationally that Hereford City Rotary Club supports, which make a real difference on the ground. Hopefully, it could inspire you to find out more about how you could get involved. Hi, I'm Luke Connaught from the City of Hereford Rotary Club, and I'm delighted to be joined all the way from Siem Reap in Cambodia by Laurie Carlson, who is the CEO of the Ponheary Lee Foundation. Thank you so much. I know it's evening with you, Laurie, isn't it? What time is it there?
Yeah, it's 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Oh, so yeah, the sun's coming up here and the sun's setting in Siem Reap.
Down here.
Does that mean we can have a gin and tonic?
Almost. I don't know about we.
Ah, okay, you can then. Okay, let's get straight into this. So, Laurie, could you tell me a little bit about the work of the PLF and how it started and all those type of things?
We started in 2006 and we worked mostly up in the northern territory of the country at the border with Thailand, where most of the community people living there are living in very remote areas, and their public schools don't really function very well at all. Up in those areas, only about 35% of children can complete primary school. So that's already a problem. But further to that, they have no chance at all of going ever to high school, finishing high school. So we work in 6 different communities up there and really bolster their primary school so they can get a meaningful education and finish primary school, and then follow them through secondary school and support their education, what they need to go to school through that. We have students in vocational training who have gone straight to work after high school, we have 160 students in university currently. So this year we've got 2,783 students across all these locations, and we have a very holistic and robust set of programs that we deliver to students all the way from kindergarten until their highest potential, whatever that is. Yeah, so I mean, we could talk a lot about all of the different things that we do, but it starts from the beginning with food all the way through every single thing, because the kids in these communities are living in abject poverty.
Yeah, and I think that's what, until we came out to see you the first time as a Rotary Club, we had a feel of what was happening, but we didn't realise that actually we're talking about you guys make them wash their hands and on arrival at school, because you've got running water there and they haven't at home, right. Breakfast. It's literally right the way through, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, there's a certain amount of parenting that goes into it when they're small like that, because they are living in places where there's no electricity, no toilets, no running water. So learning how to do proper hygiene as a 5-6-year-old child is something that's new to them when they arrive at school. So we do need to begin with that.
So we've been over twice. Is it twice or twice now, isn't it? Rotary Club, yeah. We've worked on different projects, and I know we've supported a few projects with you. But if there was one thing you'd say the biggest difference our Rotary Club has made in working with the PLF, what would that be?
I'm thinking really, my mind is in 2 places with this, because there's been 2 things that the Rotary has done for us that were extraordinary and really helped our students move themselves quite a bit forward. And the first thing was helping us to build the Learning Center at Ponheary Village. That was a big project, a big construction project, and a big execution of some things that we had never really tried before. And you getting up behind us to get that learning center built and get the kids moved in and get that going was huge. That project has been one of the most successful things we've ever done. And in fact, we're about to duplicate it in another location, to the letter, duplicate it. So that was extremely impactful to the students in that community. and provided us also a way to understand how to do a learning center, how to move outside the school and serve not only the students at the school, but the larger community, and kind of change the face of what we do a little bit. So that was pretty huge for us. And your assistance at that time was critical. There's a smaller thing that Rotary has done for us, starting in I want to say 2017, maybe even 16, when you started funding the library at Coquet. That was a small kind of scope of work, but it had a huge, huge impact. And it isn't until recently that we've really seen that play out. The librarian at Coquet that we together raised up and put into place is now training other librarians in other locations. And the children at Coquet were out of school from March until September. They came back to school for 2 months and then were sent home again. We're not in school right now. And they had literacy tests before we sent them home during school closures, and they had them again when they came back to school. And they had not had any formal or informal classes in 6 months' time, but they did have access to their library. So we were doing non-contact book borrowing during that entire time. And the kids came dutifully when they were receiving their food packets to come and check out books. And just that singular thing kept them literate and kind of up to speed. When they came back to school, there wasn't a big dip in, oh Lord, we have to start all over again. We really saw the impact there. So we've been really pleased with the progress there, and the library that we started at a kind of a sister school at Romchek recently. Saran went out into that community and hired the librarian and trained her. And it's an absolute joy to have everything be so local, to have our librarians be from those villages and know those children. And the impact's been really huge, really, really huge. So that again, it was a small thing. Sometimes small things can have big, big ripples, and the library at Coquet definitely one of those things.
Fantastic, thank you. How important would you say philanthropy is to the PLF?
Well, without philanthropy, we don't run. So it's pretty important. Our organization relies solely on private donors, consortiums of private donors, donors that have family trusts or are engaged in civic organizations such as Rotary. Those are the people who fund us. We don't do a lot of grant writing. We don't get government money. We don't get money from bigger charities who want to tell us how we need to do things here. This year, our budget is $900,000 US dollars, and 75% of that money comes from 8 people. And those 8 people have been with us for more than a decade, and we have deep relationships with our core donors, and their efforts are completely philanthropic. They are people who have the ability to fund large scopes of work and stay with us and grow with us and all of that. So we've been really lucky that we've been able to develop these relationships with real humans and not organizations. As you know from coming over here and working over here with us, the relationship is everything. It means you can go fast and make good decisions and get things done without a bunch of folderol and
committees and
yeah. Exactly. Paperwork. We don't have to have legions of admin clerks sitting around, doing pivot tables for somebody's performance matrix. We certainly do track our work, but it's just a different game when you're a subcontractor on a big grant that's coming out of USAID or something. It changes the shape of how you run. So yeah, without philanthropy, without private people having a look at what we're doing and getting excited about what we're doing and sort of joining our cause with us. We wouldn't be able to do anything. We don't, because of those 8-10 people, we don't have to spend a whole lot of time fundraising either. We're not constantly worried about where our next money's coming from. This year I did a bit, but
But I think we were
but
all right.
yeah, extremely important.
Yeah.
And I do like working with private people, people like Rotary clubs, family trusts, things like that feels much cleaner.
And speaking from our Rotary and our small part that we played, the reward that we get back is incredible, because you say you don't you don't have to have legions of admin clerks, but the paperwork we do get is concise, it's relevant, it gives us the full picture, and we know that our money is doing some good. And so I think you do a fantastic job with reporting back, and that's probably why your sort of eight or nine major donors are still with you, because
Yeah,
where
definitely.
the money's gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So, what plans have you got for the future? What's the upcoming projects for the PLF?
Big plans. This was a hard year, obviously, on a lot of levels. But something that the really big silver lining for us was, oh wow, getting a very fast onboarding about how do you do distance learning? How do you do online learning? How do you broadcast online classes out in the bush where there isn't electricity or internet and things like that? We had to master that quickly, especially for our high school students. They had no hope of staying in high school if they couldn't get on those online classes. So we did learn how to do that, and we learned how to do it pretty well. And now we're really imagining the possibilities of being able to reach more students out in remote areas via that medium. And so this is what was part of the impetus of converting the dormitory at Srayong, which you visited when we went to Cooke. Converting that, send those kids home. We bought 2 big trucks to haul everybody to school every day, and turn that place into a really big learning center. And we'll be doing a lot of online delivery of classes from Siem Reap, shooting that stuff up there. So e-learning is our way forward, and it's our way forward, COVID or no COVID. And we have started to buy kits that we can send out into the field to broadcast classes. We're working with volunteers all over the world that are teachers and former teachers that are giving us really great curricula. There are starting to be now Khmer language stuff that you can buy and put online. So we're getting all the parts together. And that we have students who, when they get up into high school, we give them high school scholarships, the really bright ones, so that they can have extra classes and do very well in high school to forward their chances of getting into university. And those efforts are expensive, and there's, not in our, compared to what we pay for education, but when you have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids that need to do it, it adds up. And so we're going to be able to reach a lot more kids with the same amount of money. And that's really exciting for us, because the agony of choosing scholarships is something we don't like living through every year. All the kids need that access, not just what we think are the clever ones. So the road ahead for us is paved with technology, and that's going to be a big focus for us this year moving forward. That's all I'm talking to people about right now, is how we can really roll that out, really scale it up.
And I think that, sort of bringing us back to the moment with, COVID around the world, I think that it's so refreshing to speak to you, Laurie, and hear that actually you guys, as we are trying to in our communities in the UK, bring the positives out and make our communities better.
Yeah, we had a lot of interesting things that happened that were all just wouldn't have happened without this disaster. And definitely just stars shining in the night. We had a lot of our university students from Phnom Penh were sent home from college for 6 months back to the village, and their university degrees put on pause while those 6 months passed. And they were in the village helping us set up the online classes for the high school kids. They were running those classes. They were setting up study groups with those kids and creating all this mentorship that was amazing. A lot of the older kids were volunteering. Everything just was going downstream. The university kids were teaching the high school kids. The high school kids were out in the village teaching little kids, make sure you wash your hands, and talking to all the old grandmas and coming together. Our communities, the communities where we work, bonded into a very tight collective during that time, and it was under the leadership of our older students, and that not us. I did not personally visit Kanar, Kokay, or Romchak for 6 months, Luke, personally, because the terror of being a vector into the community. And in the beginning, especially, we didn't know what was going to happen or how bad it was going to be. We were watching China at that time. It was a disaster. So, you know, all of us here in Siem Reap had to stay put. And so how are you executing something like that without those older kids back at home? It wouldn't have happened. So many things, you know, that were super positive that would have never occurred outside of this scenario. And so we're trying to grab those things as they come up and pull them up out of the dirt and polish them up and get them on the road, because it's good. It's
and
really
the potential,
the
potential coming from it is incredible. Yeah.
I think a few years from now, I think we'll look back on this time and say, wow, without that, we would not be doing this right here that we'll be doing. So,
Thank you so much for today, Laurie. We'll put a link at the end of this to the PLF website so people can find out a little bit more about what you guys get up to, and also a link to our Rotary Club's website so people can see a little bit more about what we get up to. And if you're interested in Rotary, I would urge you to visit our website or just email me at luke@conod.co.uk. So that's luke@conod.co.uk. Thank you so much, Laurie, for your time. Lovely to speak to you.
Pleasure. Lovely to see you, Luke.
If this video has inspired you to find out more, or indeed to make a difference to good causes by becoming a member of our Rotary Club, please get in touch with me to find out.